Thank you so much for coming, Austin. I really, really appreciate it. And I know Kraken's like a really amazing sort of company. They've did some bailout a couple of years ago, correct? And when there was
this was not quite a bailout, but Mt. Gox was the
after
largest
Mt. Gox,
exchange
yeah.
on Earth. Mt. Gox was the largest exchange on Earth, and it fell apart somehow. The Japanese trustee for the bankruptcy declared Kraken as the venue for distribution of the digital assets, the Bitcoin, to the creditors. So anybody that was owed money from Mt. Gox could have opted to receive their distribution through Kraken. I think it's delayed right now in court, but the payout should be somewhere on the order of 190,000 Bitcoin. When that happens, I can't say, because it's in the court now. There's one more court case that's really standing between the distribution, and hopefully it's resolved soon.
So that's a pretty nice place to be in, to be able to help out all those people that lost money at Mt. Gox. Yeah,
Mt. Gox is definitely the scar on the cryptocurrency industry, of one of many, but by far the largest. I mean, depending on what we find out, if we find out what happened there truly, it's probably quite possibly the largest bank robbery in human history.
Oh, interesting. So tell me, what made you passionate about getting involved in cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin?
Well, the technology is like nothing else. It's kind of presents a new paradigm in terms of freedom, right? I was always very interested in monetary policy and was somewhat of a gold bug. And Bitcoin is, for all the reasons that gold is kind of attractive to people seeking a hedge from the financial system, especially after 2008. Bitcoin fulfills that role and more. Absent the kind of millennia of history as a medium of exchange, but everything else, Bitcoin does better than gold. And I like the idea of kind of voluntary currency. The monetary policy is fixed and transparent, and that's markedly different than any of the national currencies, even the strongest ones, where now every national currency now is kind of backed by just as much as Bitcoin, which is just human beings. It's a mass psychosis.
Yes.
That's what currency is.
Yeah.
It's a mass psychosis, and yeah.
So tell me where you think everything's going as far as what the future looks like for Bitcoin.
The future looks very strong. Of course, there's a chance that the experiment, Bitcoin is probably still an experiment. It could all fall apart. But I think it looks stronger than ever. I'm more bullish than ever. I think that Bitcoin will come to be the reserve currency of the world. I think you'll see in some years' time, oil and commodity and currencies will be quoted in the price will be quoted in Bitcoin. More and more so, it kind of levels the playing field for entities and individuals at all levels, and I just think it's too powerful to stop now, and it's not going to go back in the box that it came from.
It's so great, a unification of the world, because I know we've had many panels on payments and money transfers and things like that, that they're still so complex to get money from one country to another and costs so much money. And I just see there's so much potential in that unification of people using the same currency, and governments not having control of that so much. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of, from the Western perspective, there's one angle that we see here where The banking kind of works most of the time, a little bit, somewhat. It's still really slow and expensive, but it's not that often that money disappears or is bailed in and the government confiscates it. It doesn't happen that often. Happens enough, right? And I mean, if you look throughout history, it happens it's almost like 100% chance that your money will be debased and your funds will be stolen by the government. That's almost 100% chance through a long enough timeline. But, in the last few decades, things have been all right in the U.S. and most of Western Europe most of the time. But for the vast majority of people on Earth today, that's not the case. And for the overwhelming majority of people throughout history, that is not the case. There is no reason you should. There's no trust in the financial institutions and in the governments and their role in the financial institutions. And there shouldn't be, because they're completely mismanaged, completely arbitrary. The currencies are completely opaque and manipulated for the goals of a very, very small elite. And I think still on Earth today, probably the majority of humanity lives under this type of system, this type of regime, under where their lives are the value of their lives, the value they produce, is denominated in a toxic asset. And the beauty of Bitcoin is that there's no gatekeeper and there's no it's open access for everybody the world over, with a very small barrier to entry, pretty much zero.
And the banks and financial institutions have such antiquated systems as well, which doesn't instill trust as well.
Yeah. It's almost I deal with the banks, the banks with banks, not all of them obviously, but I deal with banks pretty much every day for many years now, and it's 95% of the frustration and payment flows are on the fiat end. I should say that every day I make a lot of crypto transfers, and I make a lot of bank transfers, and almost all, very close to 100% of the problems are with the bank transfers. The crypto transfers always work. I've been doing it for many years. I've never had one that didn't work. They've always worked, and the banking just doesn't work once you compare it to this. And it's really telling when you start dealing with really young people, 16, 17, 18, 20 years old, that have a great idea or starting a business or working on Ethereum or Bitcoin scripting or something like that. And I've seen now a couple instances in which I was there or around, and a young person kind of made their first bank wire. And I could see that this is over. I mean, there's no way that this will last. There might be some Jamie Dimons and some grandpas that'll be naysaying, but they'll be gone soon enough. And I promise you that Junior is not going to grow up and be like, well, the Bitcoin was kind of cool, but I'd rather pay $25 for a wire that I have to wait 5 days on, and then have some arbitrary intermediary come and write me a letter saying that they didn't want to process my wire because they felt like it. This type of thing will not last. It's not possible.
So do you have a funny story about being involved in Bitcoin? I know it's valued pretty high today, apparently one of the top highs, right? What, 6K or something like that?
Yeah, I think today we had a great day. Might even be 6,200 right now. 61.22 and 80 cents.
And I guess I've noticed it with our panels and talks that there's definitely a lot more interest than there was a year ago.
Oh yeah,
So, how's that affecting you?
Well, I've been noticing it just out in public. Lucky enough to have acquired a number of complimentary T-shirts the last few years, and so I'd say most days, most of the time, I have a cryptocurrency-related shirt on. And I'm having to reconsider that because lately, all the time, I'm getting stopped in the street, mostly, pretty much so far, all very friendly and inquisitive and very nice, but I'm starting to realize that maybe advertising my role in the cryptocurrency world might not be the best from a personal security perspective.
Yeah. Maybe too much attention, right?
Yeah. Too much attention for sure. It's happening today. Today it happened, and it's been happening more and more and more where people see Bitcoin or Kraken or some other logo that maybe would have been somewhat obscure last year and is no longer. And the demographics too that will, used to be kind of maybe men under 40, and that's about it, who would be recognizing any kind of Bitcoin, but not anymore. I'm seeing people of all ages from all over the place asking about it, and it's happening a lot.
Well, it's great that people are wanting to know more and getting interested, and hopefully that will support Bitcoin in becoming everything that it could be.
Oh yeah, and it takes a while. The learning curve is somewhat high because it's money itself is somewhat difficult to understand, and I think education surrounding what currency or what money is, how banking works, these types of things is pretty low, at least in the United States. And it's a difficult concept because there's a lot of emotions and identity wrapped up around money and feelings about different aspects of money and monetary policy and all that kind of thing. And then you add the nuance, the complexity of Bitcoin and blockchain on top of that. So it takes some time before you can really understand the implications and then the kind of level of profundity that Bitcoin brings to the table, and so I'm very bullish on, at least on the mind share. The price could roller coaster for many years to come, but once you understand Bitcoin's out there and the power, or at least even the potential power that it could bring to the table, it's very, very positive, I think.
Thank you so much, and I'm so looking forward to the panel. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you inviting me. Yeah.